Hey, so I want to make a quick Magic Find Caustic Hour guide. You know, a lot of questions about this build over the past few days. Yeah, I'll go over everything I can, and if I miss anything, I'll leave a comment below. And I'll also be live streaming on Twitch, so if you have any questions, feel free to stop by and I'll instantly answer your question. If not, leave a comment below and I'll get back to it when I can. So yeah, to go over the build real quick, we'll start with the POB. So, over the gear, Widow Hail, best in slot bow, and your best in slot bow because of your quiver. Now, you really need a good quiver, and it's very, very important. This will be your most expensive piece, most likely, at the start, and it's because of Widow Hail, right? You're increasing your quiver by 250%, so everything on the quiver, every 1% on the quiver actually matters a lot. So yeah, this is your ideal stats. Penetrating arrow quiver base, double multi, max life, movement speed, damage with bow skills, increase attack speed. Quiver like this, to make, costs around 20 divines. If you're going to buy it, it costs around 40 divines. If you want a cheap quiver, you can take off the movement speed here, and then, the quiver will probably be around like 15 divines or so to buy. So yeah, if there is demand on a crafting gun how to make this quiver, I can make one. It is pretty RNG, but you can eventually make it with like 15 to 20 divines. So yeah, if you want a guide on that, I can make it. So yeah, as you can see with the quiver, the +1 pierce because of Widow Hail goes to +3, so that's quite insane. If you don't know how pierce works on Caustic Arrow, every single pierce, when it hits an enemy, creates a puddle. That means if you have +3 pierce, one arrow, a single arrow, can create 4 puddles. Now the puddles don't overlap in damage or anything, but it's just more AoE coverage, and when you're doing 8 mod choosing, you're fighting a lot of mobs, so that AoE coverage is really nice. When you have +3 pierce, pretty much one shot, the whole screen's going to be covered in puddles. So yeah, very nice. Now Pierce isn't needed. I didn't play with Pierce for a long time, so if you can't get Pierce, it's fine. You can live without it until you can make your own quiver. But it is very nice for clear speed. And you see the move speed on the quiver, 10%. Once again, because of Widow Hail, this is 35%. So we go from 150% movement speed to 185% movement speed. So yeah, the movement speed on this quiver is quite insane, which is a second pair of boots. So the helm, double mana reservation efficiency helm with triple rarity, a pretty standard MF helm. I'll have a budget option, for a budget POB. So yeah, helm like this probably costs around 10 divines to make or so. Helm in a chant, you want Caustic Arrow. You can also get mana reservation efficiency helm in a chant if you have trouble fitting in your auras. But Caustic Arrow damage is pretty nice. It's around like 4% damage. Chest, Squeeze Embrace with +4. Now, this is pretty expensive, so for the budget version, I do have a cheaper option that I'll show you. Yeah, +4 Green Embrace. This is what makes this combo really good. If you didn't have a +4 chest, then your Caustic Arrow would actually be lower than their standard bow quiver setup. So yeah, +4 chest, mandatory. But once again, I do have a budget option where you will still get plus skills, as the Squeeze Embrace is probably like 50 to 70 divines. Seamless Touch, Despair on hit, pretty cheap, nothing else to say here. Gold Worms, you want a chance to avoid being stunned, and then combined with Heart of the Oak, your stun immunity, essentially. The 100% stun avoidance, which is essentially stun immunity. So yeah, for the Corruption, try to get chances for spell damage. This allows you to get spell suppression cap. If you can't get this Corruption, then you can use tattoos to get your spell suppression cap, as there's 2% spell suppression per tattoo. Amulet, Eyes of Great Wolf, with Sovereignty as your allocation. Now you don't need chaos damage, as you can see on DPS. It does go down, but it's not by much, so you can live without the chaos damage on here. It is quite an expensive amulet with 20% quant. On the budget version, you don't use this amulet. Yeah. Rings, Double Ventures, of course. Get enough res, quant, rarity, and max life as you can. Personally, I value quantity the most, and then rarity second. So I go for 10% quant, and get as much rarity as I can. You want to focus on lightning and cold res. Fire res is the least important stat here, as you can see. And it's very important to be overcapped res too, because altars, Eldritch altars, lower your cold and light res specifically, and not your fire res. You don't need that high fire res capped, but you do need to be overcapped in cold and lighten so you can take those altars without go into negative res. Belt, Headhunter. Headhunter is probably the best in slot. It's not that important though. Headhunter doesn't give this build any damage since it's a chaos damage over time build. So Headhunter essentially gives you 0 damage, but it does give you movement speed, and it does give you a nice defense when you steal mods. So yeah, honestly, you can just use like something like a Viscos instead, and that'll work just fine. Headhunter is completely not needed though. Flask it up. Jade, Quicksilver, Gold, if you still it, and Progenesis. Progenesis is massive defense boost, as you can see. This is a rather tanky Magic Find build. You pretty much won't find another Magic Find build that has 48k, LE max hit. 12k Fizz hits, not the highest, but it's still pretty high for a Magic Find build. So yeah, Progenesis, very important. Just copy all these flasks, so rarity, reduce effective curse on you, and reduce mana cost of skills. You can also get increased evasion on one of your suffixes over a curse, but only do this if you're going to run maps that don't have curses. If you're going to run any map and it has a curse on it, which most of the maps you run do have that, and you really want reduced effective curses. So yeah, Forbidden Jewels, you want Quartz Infusion. This allows you to get spell suppression cap and gives you Phasing. Phasing is very, very important, especially as a dot build where enemies take like half a second to die. This allows you to shoot and run past the mobs. Yeah, Phasing is mandatory in this build. These essential jewels are pretty much non-negotiable. There is a budget option that I'll show later that doesn't use these jewels, but you have to skip out on Progenesis for that. Watcher's Eye, we are using damage over time and Onslaught. This is the Watcher's Eye you want. This is ideal in my opinion. If you had to drop one mod here, it would be the Onslaught, as damage over time is a little bit more important in my opinion for the damage. Elegant Hubris, the last unique jewel we're using. While also using the Caspiro, this is very important for the Supreme ignore attribute requirements and gain no inherent bonuses from attributes. So this allows us to tattoo every single small passive, which is really, really strong. Without this, you see we're not even close to making our attribute requirements. So yeah, this is mandatory. Now for this Elegant Hubris specifically, you just want this one node. You don't need 2 rarity nodes. Just make sure you have the 1 rarity node on Mind Drinker so you can take the mana reservation efficiency. So yeah, just make sure you have this. And then when you can afford it, get a 2nd rarity node. And this rarity node can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be here. It can be any 2 pointers. So like, it can be on Clever Thief, Blood Drinker, the Frenzy Charge, the Power Charge, Soul Thief, Will of Blades, or Sleight of Hand. So yeah, you have a ton of options to get a 2nd rarity node. Probably costs around like 3 to 5 divines. And then eventually down the line, you can go for a triple rarity one. So, you spend 2 more points to get 40% more rarity, but that'll probably be like up to 20 divines. So yeah, with this, as you can see, we are 440%, 445% rarity and 102% quant. With our helmet, that makes us 490% rarity. So you can see it's extremely high rarity and quantity build, while also not sacrificing movement speed and not sacrificing defense at all, for the most part that is. This is why I think like Caustic Hour is like an S tier Magic Finder right now. Really, really strong quantum rarity. So yeah, that's about it for the skill tree. Just go to small passes real quick. Use Dexterity on all your small nodes, and use Magic Find on your Strength and Intelligent nodes. You can also use Max Life instead of Rarity on your Strength and Intelligent nodes. Either one works. Yeah, do use movement speed. Do not use Rarity. I think using Rarity is a complete trap over movement speed on Dexterity nodes. It's way more important to be fast than to have like 40% extra rarity. This movement speed is not only a speed clear increase, but it's also a defense increase, as if you're moving more, you're not going to get hit as much. So yeah, use movement speed on every single small passive that you can. The other ones, rarity or max life. Cluster Jewels, the only thing to talk about the Cluster Jewels is make sure you have 1 Spike Concoction, Alchemist Genius gives you Flash Effect, which is survivability and movement speed, and it gives you Flash Shredder's Gain. And then for every medium cluster, make sure you have Brood for potency. So all 4 medium clusters, make sure you have Brood for potency. Outside of that, I got Student of Decay, and I got 1 Eternal Suffering just for Wither. On your large cluster jewel, I have one large cluster jewel with unspeakable gifts, Wavering Evil, and Wicked Paul, and the other cluster jewel with Unholy Grace. You can get 2 unspeakable gifts, but I find 1 explosion is generally all you need. Yeah, you can get 2, just make sure you at least have 1. The only other thing important to talk about the passive tree would be, I guess, this Mastery. This Mastery is mandatory. This is pretty much how you sustain your life. You have no life sustain outside of this Mastery. So yeah, so make sure you click this, and combined with Master Surgeon, this is how you're able to use Divination Distill it at full life. We'll go over the Pantheon real quick. So Nature's Reprisal, Master Surgeon, Nature's Adrenaline, and Nature's Boon. There's nothing else here to take. Simply because, you know, Master Distill does nothing for this build. You're not a poison build, so Master Toxic also does nothing. And Master Alchemist is like the worst node here. So yeah, you don't really have any options here. This is what you take. And I guess only one more thing to talk about. If you're not spell suppression cap, then do take a chance to suppress spell damage as lucky on your Mastery. Yep, so that's it for the passive skill tree. I'm gonna go over the gems real quick. So Caustic Arrow setup, pretty standard Caustic Arrow setup. Make sure you're on power level 4, very important for the damage. You know, as you can see with the damage, if you go down even just 1 level, you lose so much damage. Go down 2 levels, losing more damage. I would say for Caustic Arrow, you really want 1.2 million DPS before Wither stacks to make it build feel good. If you only have like 1 million DPS or 900k DPS, the build will simply not feel good. Bosses will take too long to kill, and some rare mobs will also take too long to kill. So yeah, damage is really, really important on this build. Make sure you have around 1.2 million DPS before you start playing the build. Yeah, level 21 gem though, as you see, you can play without it. Yeah, do get this when you can. It is a big DPS increase, costs around 10 divines. On the gems, Dread Banner, Awakened Generosity, extremely strong for defense. If you don't have the mana reservation, you can take out Dread Banner. Yeah, once you do have the mana reservation, do use Dread Banner. Now, Steel Skin and Withering Step. I only use Withering Step on bosses pretty much. It just allows you to apply Wither pretty fast. Yeah, several Wither debuffs for the first time. Really nice. You can also get Anomalous Wither Step, which is probably what you should do. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. Frenzy setup with Manifold Gyros. This is how you generate frenzies, and also you get a little bit of life gain on hit with life gain on hit up, of course. Pretty nice because, like I said, you don't really have any way to generate life in this build. So, yeah, do use this gem. Divine Blessing Haste setup. You need Anomalous Increased Duration and Divergent Inspiration to make haste cost 0 mana, or you drop Increased Duration and you use Divergent and Divine Blessing, and this will also make your haste cost 0 mana, or 8 mana I should say here. So yeah, I prefer doing this setup because it allows me to use increased duration, so my haste lasts a little bit longer, and I don't have to press it as much. Then with the aura setup here, with the auras, you know, Creative Elements, Alignment, Summer Skitterbots, Grace, and Malevolence. I'm just have Frostblink here because, you know, don't have anywhere else to put it. Doesn't have to be here, doesn't really matter. The Skitterbots, once again, is for damage. Like I said, you really need damage with this build, and Summer Skitterbots is pretty much one of the few ways to actually scale damage with this build. You know, to scale damage with this build, the only things you can really do is gem levels and damage multiplier. Since it's not a poison build, you know, you can't really scale the damage through attack speed and skill effect duration. So, you know, this is one of the few ways you can actually scale the damage of this build. Yeah, Creative Elements is how you get Element Immune. Grace for evasion is really nice. And of course, Malevolence, also how you scale damage. So yeah, that's about it for the gem setup. And I guess I can go over the budget version now. I don't think I missed anything on this build. I'll have both of these POBs linked in the description down below. Oh, I guess one thing to mention is Corrupt and Blood Jewel. Definitely need that. And you do need 2 jewels with increased mana reservation efficiency. If you're playing a high-end version, this is the only way you can Dread Banner. Without this, you'll have to drop Dread Banner. So yeah, I have one on this implicit, and I have one on this explicit here. So yeah, to go over the budget version real quick. For the budget version, to make everything work, we also have to drop some quantity and some rarity. Still a respectable amount, you know, 251% rarity and 83% quantity is still a good amount. So for the budget version, we also get a cheaper Quiver. This quiver is probably about like 15 divines. You can get a cheaper Widow Hail. You don't need a heroic Widow Hail. It's very minor. 245% is still good enough. Obviously, if you can get 250%, then get 250%. Helmet, you're just using a Shrieking Essence of Loaf now instead of a Deafening. This helmet probably costs around 3 to 4 divines to make. Preferably, you want rarity, but you don't need it. So, if you can't find a helmet with extra rarity, then don't worry about it. See here for the Grease Embrace, since a +4 Grease Embrace costs like 50 divines or so, we're using a +2 here, and to make up for the damage loss, we're using a Replica Dragon Fang, which is also really nice because it gives mana reservation efficiency. So this amulet at the moment costs around 1 divine, but if it does go up in the future or something, you can use a rare amulet and then use a chest, any unique chest of +4 to still get good amount of damage. So yeah, this is what I would recommend for the budget version though, to be able to still have damage while keeping your mana reservation and keeping quantity. Seamer Touch, still using a spare on hit. Boots, don't want a chance to avoid. We don't have this corrupted boots anymore since this is the budget version. So to get spell suppression, you'll have to spec into more spell suppression nodes. So these 2 nodes right here, and then we're also going to need chance to suppress spell damage as Lucky Mastery. So yeah, if you can get spell suppression corruption though, do get it. It is very, very nice. Amulet, as we said, Replica Dragon Fang. Rings, Ventures. On budget Ventures, just focus on quant and res. Don't worry about the rarity and don't worry about the life. Just don't have negative rarity essentially, and you'll be good to go. For belt, we're just using a Stygian Vice. Increase effect. You can also use Abyskos if you want. Either one works, but a Stygian Vice is nice because it allows you to use a Search and Eye Jewel, or any Abyss Jewel I should say, with Corrupted Blood immunity. So this is how you can get Corrupted Blood immunity on your budget version instead of using the rare jewel, since that rare jewel is usually quite expensive to get Corrupted Blood. So yeah, that's a bit for the budget version. Honestly, for the budget version, you're using 1 rarity node here. This should probably cost like maybe 1 divine, maybe 100 chaos. It's pretty cheap. And for the jewels, since I didn't go over this, yeah, you just want increase max life, damage over time multiplier, increase damage over time. If you need something cheaper, you can drop the damage over time multiplier and just get chaos damage over time multiplier and increase max on life. But there's a few different jewels you can search for. So yeah, that's about it for the budget version. Budget version is probably around 40 divines, maybe 50 divines. It really depends on the quiver. Do not skip out on the quiver. Like, it will be your most expensive piece, and that's fine. If you have to pay 20 divs for a quiver, pay for it because this is the most important piece here. So yeah. Also, I guess the flask real quick. So we're using a quartz flask instead of Progenesis just to get spell suppression because we don't have the forbidden jewels anymore. And this also gets you more evasion. But as soon as you can, the first upgrade you want to make from this build is to get Progenesis and to get the 2 forbidden jewels. So let me go back over here. So yeah, get the Progenesis when you can and the 2 forbidden jewels because the forbidden jewels so it gives you both spell suppression cap and gives you phasing. And phasing is really important for defense. So yeah. That's about it for the build guide. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Like I said, I'll be live streaming, so if you have any questions, you can also come by the live stream and I'll answer as soon as I can. Yeah, that's about it.